Everything just changed for the Rockets, as with the Brooklyn Nets in a rough contract situation with their best player, Rafael Stone and the Rockets hold the keys to a future Nets pick that just got even better with this contract situation. We give you the whole story right here on Rockets Digest. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you tuning into the show. And I do want to say, if you're watching right now, I do appreciate it because this is a lull time for the NBA. The games haven't started yet. The NBA draft free agency is now behind us. And not much going on. But yet you're a diehard Rockets fan. And I appreciate you. You are one of the real ones here for Rockets Nation. Let's talk about today's story, where Houston Rockets will benefit from this Brooklyn Nets loss. So what exactly is going on with the Brooklyn Nets, and why is this a good thing for the Houston Rockets? Well, if you are an NBA follower, if you follow every story in the NBA, you'll know that Cam Thomas is the Brooklyn Nets' best player. And Thomas, right now, is looking for a new contract, but the Brooklyn Nets seem to be kind of undervaluing Thomas, at least to his standards. Now, Jake L. Fisher said this, quote, Cam Thomas thinks of himself as one of the most elite playmaker scorers in the NBA, and he wants to be compensated as such, end quote. Now, Cam Thomas has had a multitude of 40-point games, more than the likes of Kawhi Leonard when he was Cam Thomas's age. I mean, there's guys that Cam Thomas is putting up stats similar to that are NBA superstars. And so, guess what? The Brooklyn Nets said, oh yeah, we'll offer you a nice contract. How about 2 years, $28 million? Not a good contract for what Cam Thomas is worth. Now, does he have the name value of a lot of these young stars? No, probably not. But is he as good at, if not better than some of these young stars? 100%. He has actually been one of the best young players in the NBA. But it seems as though now he might be on his way out of the Brooklyn Nets organization. Alec Elijah has our first report saying, quote, because of the inability to strike a deal, fans and insiders around the league have begun to speculate that Cam Thomas could very well be on his way out of Brooklyn. And you're probably sitting there saying, Jace, that's all cool and well. What does this have to do with the Houston Rockets? Well, that's where we go into this. Sleeper Rockets had this, saying with all the Cam Thomas rumors going around, it's worth noting that it could help the Rockets if Brooklyn does lose him. Right now, Houston has a 2027 first-round pick swap with Brooklyn, and after the James Harden trade, so if the Nets continue to tank, that swap could be a nice asset for the Rockets, end quote. Now, obviously, we're talking about not next year's draft, but the year after. However, if Cam Thomas is moved, that is putting the Rockets, the Nets, into a full rebuild mode. Not just this year, next year, and potentially even the year after that. And in that case, Rafael Stone, who we have seen make some big trades, obviously Kevin Durant, the Cam Whitmore trade, he is going to have a pick either the end of this trade deadline to use or next off season, where it is very likely that is a very high pick swap for the Brooklyn Nets. And in that case scenario, you have a couple of different options. You can make a trade with that pick, or you could see how it plays out, and you're going to get a top pick in the 2027 NBA draft. Now, the 2027 NBA draft is going to be very huge for the Houston Rockets for a multitude of different reasons because they have a lot of picks in that draft. Next year, it's just 2 second-round picks, but then they have the Brooklyn first-round pick swap rights. They have the Phoenix pick in 2027, and they have the Memphis second-round pick and potentially the lesser of a second-round pick from Portland or the New Orleans Pelicans. So they're going to have a lot of picks to come in that 2027 NBA draft. And for that reason, they could easily trade a Brooklyn Nets first-round pick swap, who, again, I'll remind you, they were with Cam Thomas this year, still in the lottery, and got the 8th overall pick. That is something to look at. That is something to note. And for that situation, it makes it look very nice for the Houston Rockets. And once again, I want to go back to kind of explaining why this is such a big deal. It has to do because the James Harden trade, when he went to the Brooklyn Nets in 2021, that is where this pick is coming from. It gave the Rockets a 2026 first-round pick, which, of course, we have moved on since from then, and a 2027 first-round pick swap with Houston. We have held on to that 2027 first-round pick swap, and now, because of the way the Nets are looking, it is seeming like that pick will be a very high-value one. Not just, again, for the Houston Rockets to go out and use, or they could go out and trade it. Now, again, Cam Thomas, there is still a lot to go in, but they had Cam Thomas last year. Still was in the lottery. So you're talking about last season doing that, and then they're coming off a not good year. They were bottom 5 last year in the Eastern Conference, and now they're heading into yet another rebuild in this upcoming season. Fans have to prepare for another lackluster year if they lose their leading scorer and spark plug Cam Thomas, end quote. This is a huge thing for the Brooklyn Nets and for the Houston Rockets for a couple of different reasons with Cam Thomas. The first one is obviously he is a very good player and is an up-and-coming, I believe, star in the NBA if you look at his advanced stats and stuff that he has done that, Kawhi Leonard did when he was his age. Like, he is going to be a very good player. But it also is an interesting situation because this is a guy that the Brooklyn Nets know how good he is. And yet they're deciding that the best offer that they could do for contract value is to give him a deal worth $14 million a year. That's the best they can do. That is going to affect the Brooklyn Nets for a long period of time here for free agents. So for the next 2 seasons, I don't think there's going to be many people signing contracts there if they're offering this to Cam Thomas. What are they offering to potential free agents? Now, of course, they've been through a weird era. They had KD and Harden together. They had Ben Simmons. It's been a very interesting time in Brooklyn. And the team has never exceeded expectations. They have never done better than maybe back in 2021 when they made the playoffs, I guess. They played the Celtics and took them out. But I don't see this situation being better in a year from now, especially if they don't get Cam Thomas on a better deal. And for that reason, it is so huge for the Rockets because you can pay attention to this. And if they are not doing well at this year's NBA trade deadline, that is a pick that you could easily have a high value on it and move. Not to mention you have other assets down there like potential Reed Shepherd trade at the trade deadline, but it also is allowing the Rockets to look to the future and know that the Rockets want to win an NBA championship this year. That is always the goal, especially when you make the moves the Rockets did this offseason. But it's a little nice to know that if you don't win this year, you've got more years coming. Kind of like how the Oklahoma City Thunder did it. They traded for Shea. Shea came in, and they were supposed to win it, or not supposed to win it, but their fans felt they could have won it the year prior. They lost the Mavericks. And then they had the extra year because of the picks they had, the signings they made, the trades they did. Rockets are kind of in that similar situation where, they're not as I'm not going to say homegrown because Shea was traded for and a lot of those guys, stuff like that. But Chet Holmgren was a first-round draft by them and the Rockets. You talk about Amen Thompson and Alperen Şengün, who came from Oklahoma City, in fact. This is a lot of homegrown talent for the Houston Rockets, and they still have, like I said, a bunch of picks coming in the future. They have a lot to look forward to, and so, given the way that Brooklyn has been handling this situation, it now seems like the Houston Rockets are in a very good spot, especially with the way they're going about this, and stuff Rafael has mentioned. We are a contending team now. We want to win championships. To win a championship, guess what? You make big trades and you have assets, and that asset is going to get better and better as long as Cam Thomas is not playing for the Brooklyn Nets. Now, again, I know this is a hypothetical thing that is a little bit farther in the future, but like I said at the beginning of the video, this is for the die-hard Houston Rockets fans. So the fact is, right now, games are about a couple months away. We have some interesting contract things for across the NBA coming up about 2 weeks. I know Luka can sign an extension. I think De'Aaron Fox can sign an extension as well, but not a lot going on. A little bit kind of rough for wear for the rest of the free agents that are still available. So the Rockets, after signing, the last guy, they don't have a lot of money in that bank account. So for that reason, kind of sitting here saying, okay, what's next for the Rockets? What's next is to finally see this team to its full potential with Kevin Durant, and Alperen Şengün, and Amen Thompson, and the rest of the boys out there. I can't wait for it, and if you can't wait, drop a like on this video. Obviously, we are really, really excited about the season, and we're going to have so much content for you leading up to the season with predictions. We got the schedule coming out here in about a month, or maybe even less than a month now. A bunch of really cool things to talk about. So we appreciate each and every one of you watching these videos in the lull of the NBA season. But if you're here and you made it to the end of the video, you are, in fact, a realist of the real one. We appreciate you as always. We'll see you next time here on a Rockets Digest. And for now, guys, peace out.